My name's Ian Hakalinda. I'm a grade 6 teacher at Fountain School in Kasama, Northern Province of Zambia. Today, I'm taking you through social studies, and in social studies, we'll look at an interesting topic today. Now, before we look at an interesting topic today, it's important that we revise something that we looked at previously. So, last time we looked at martyrdom, and we said martyrdom is the killing of people because of their belief or faith. Then we said there's somebody who is killed because of his faith or his or her own belief. We said that person is called a martyr. Then from there, we looked at different Africans who were killed because of their faith. We looked at Charles Lwanga. We also looked at Saint Kizito. Then we also looked at different people in Zambia who believed so much in justice. This is where we looked at the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, may his soul rest in peace. So otherwise, he stood and fought against people who were not paying attention to the human rights. So today now we'll look at the topic here, which is so interesting, and the topic here is weather. We'll look at weather and climate. We'll look at weather and climate. So, as we are going to soldier on in weather and climate, it is important that we understand these two terms. So, let me just ask a question of people to brainstorm. What do you understand by the term weather? Okay, good try. So, to define weather, we can say weather is the condition of the atmosphere of a place. This is the condition of the atmosphere of a place at a given time. Now, for weather, before we come to climate, in as much as we may define weather as the condition of the atmosphere of a place at a given time, weather changes from time to time. This is where sometimes you understand that in the morning it may be cloudy, okay? Then in the afternoon you just see the change where maybe it becomes rainy. So when you see such changes, just like we are saying, weather changes, anytime. It can change anytime. So, for climate now, the difference which is there between weather and climate, we can say climate is the prevailing atmospheric conditions of a place over a long period of time. That's where the difference is. Climate is the prevailing atmospheric conditions of a place, over a long period of time. But for weather, it can change anytime. That's just the difference. So suppose sometimes you may be questioned to say, differentiate between weather and climate. The only difference that is there is that for climate, it takes a long period of time for it to change. But for weather, it can change, it can change at any time. Now, focusing on weather today, we'll say weather can be defined in so many ways, or rather we can describe weather in so many ways. We can describe weather as sunny. The following that I've started writing are the descriptions of weather. You may be asked to say, can you describe weather? You can say weather can be sunny, sometimes cold, okay? Sometimes cloudy, sometimes warm, sometimes calm. Sometimes we may say it can be windy. Alright? It can be windy. Then sometimes it can be rainy. So we may say weather can be described in so many ways, but a few of them are here. We are saying weather can be described as sunny, cold, cloudy, warm, calm, windy, and rainy, and many more. Now, for us to understand much more about weather, there are elements of weather. There are elements of weather. There are elements of weather. The following are examples, of elements of weather. So, a weather, or the first element, is temperature. The first element is temperature. And here, I want you to pay attention to spellings, especially when you see that this word, it is giving you, some bit of a challenge. You need to focus much on that word so that even when you look at it, next time you're not going to make any mistake when you're told to say, can you write the word temperature? So, another element of weather is humidity. Humidity. The third element of weather is rainfall. Rainfall. Another element of weather is wind. It's wind. Then we also have another one called air pressure. Air pressure. How many are we having so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can say sometimes weather, or under the elements, we can say it can also be like, sun, like sunshine. It can also be sunshine. So today we'll look at these elements of weather. Number 1, we have temperature. Number 2, we have humidity. Number 3, we have rainfall. Number 4, we have wind. We have air pressure. We also have sunshine. Now, today we cannot go further, by looking at all these elements. Today we are just going to pick on temperature. What happens, to do with temperature under weather? So temperature So the other one, humidity, rainfall, wind, air pressure, and sunshine, we'll look at them so that we understand them. Now, it is very interesting here because temperature can also be defined. Temperature can be defined. So to try to define temperature, we can say temperature is the hotness or coldness of air. Others say temperature is the coldness and hotness of the body. Now, since today we are looking at weather, we can define temperature as the hotness, okay? So temperature is the hotness and coldness of air. So this is the best, definition of temperature to do with weather. Now, for temperature, it is measured. So you may be asked to say, what is the, SI units or the units for temperature? Temperature is measured. Temperature is measured in, temperature is measured in degrees. It is measured in degrees Celsius. So the spelling for degrees is like this. Degrees Celsius. degrees Celsius. So sometimes in other books, you will not see the word degrees Celsius. Sometimes they just use the symbol, which is like a small dot. Then see here. So this is the units for temperature. We are saying temperature is measured in degrees Celsius. At the same time, they may use a symbol, that symbol and C. So now, after looking at the units for temperature, it is important that we also look at the instruments, because under weather there are instruments that are used to measure all these elements. So we are saying temperature, the instruments or the instrument that is used to measure temperature is a thermometer. Alright? A thermometer is an instrument that is used to measure temperature. Now, this thermometer, there are two thermometers, or rather we may say there are three types of thermometers to do with weather. The first one is maximum. Alright? It is called maximum thermometer. So we are saying the first name of an instrument used to measure temperature is called maximum thermometer. Then the second one is minimum thermometer. Then we also have the third one, now a combination of maximum and minimum thermometer, and that thermometer is called maximum and minimum thermometer. Then at the same time, it is also known as the sixth thermometer. We are saying the sixth thermometer is the combination of maximum and minimum thermometer. So these three instruments are used to measure temperature. So sometimes if you are asked to say, what do we call an instrument that is used to measure temperature, you can just say a thermometer. Then if you are so advancing, you may even write these thermometers in brackets so as to show to say these are the names of thermometers that are used to measure temperature. So now, looking at weather, these are a theme or things that I wanted you to understand. So now, here I have a chart. To make sure so that you take time. You take time to look at what is written on the chart. We can now look at, to summarize everything now, we can say, we were looking at weather and the climate. Then we began defining weather. We said, weather is the condition of the atmosphere of a place at a given time. Then we said, weather can change from time to time. This is where we said, in the morning, for example, it may be cloudy. Then in the afternoon, it becomes, rainy. So we are saying things to note here. Weather can change at any given time. Then we said climate is the prevailing atmospheric conditions of a given place over a long period of time. So to differentiate weather from climate, we said weather, it can change at any given time, but for climate, it can change, it can take, a long period of time for it to change. Then we say weather can be described as sunny, rainy, calm, windy, cloudy, cold, hot, and warm. So these things that are here are describing weather. Now, we have elements of weather. This is where we say we have temperature, we have rainfall, we have pressure, also known as air pressure, and we have wind, sunshine, and also we have cloud cover and humidity. Now, today we don't want to look at all these elements. We've just picked on one, which is temperature. So we define temperature as the hotness or coldness of air. Then it is measured in degrees Celsius, just like we said here, and the symbol that is used is this one. So don't get confused when you see in some books they've just written this. So I said in some books they would write degrees Celsius, or sometimes they may just use the symbol which is written like that. Then we said there's an instrument that is used to measure temperature, and we said an instrument used to measure temperature is called a thermometer. So a thermometer, we said there are two types. There are three types of thermometers. So with me, I want you to look at these thermometers. So as if you've never seen a thermometer before, you may have a chance to look at them. So this is one of the types of the thermometers that I'm having here. So these are just the same thermometers. So this thermometer, it has graduals to show how the temperature will be rising. So this is an example of a thermometer that we have. So we are saying thermometers are in three types, looking at temperature. So we have the maximum thermometer, and this maximum thermometer, it measures the highest temperature. Then the minimum thermometer, it measures the lowest temperature. Then we say we also have another thermometer which has a maximum and minimum put together, and that thermometer is called, either you say maximum and minimum thermometer, then sometimes you may say a 6th or 6th thermometer. So looking at this, I want you now to apply this, in the exercise that I'm going to give you. So I'll write questions, then you also get your book and try to attempt all the questions that I'll write on the board, so that you test yourself if at all you understood when I was teaching. So let me write the questions as you also take note. Alright, so these are the questions that I want you to attempt. So the first question says, define the following. We have number one, weather. Define weather. Climate. What is climate? Define also temperature. Then question 2 says, name 2 instruments used to measure temperature. Here I want you to name them. You write the instruments that are used to measure temperature. Then number 3, mention the 6 elements of weather. We looked at different elements of weather. So I want you to write 6 of them. Then question 4 says, temperature is measured in dash. What are the units of temperature? So I want you to write the units in which temperature is measured. Then the last question says, weather can be described as dash, 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 and dash. So I want you to, describe weather. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, this is where now our lesson ends in social studies. You have been with me, teacher here, who is a grade 6 teacher at Fountain School. Until next time, thank you.